Hello folks, it is I, Rob, and had another excursion out to Half Price Bookstore, as I love to do, and picked a few things. They were a little light on the role-playing games today, so I got what I could, and I think I found some interesting stuff. One of the games that I've been looking at to try to get to the bottom of it, what is it all about, and I know vaguely what the storyline is about in the game, but I don't know anybody who's personally used it. All I've heard is some recommendations about how good this game is. So I got a source book for Feng Shui called Blood of the Valiant. And of course, because I do what I do, I looked at it very carefully, and it says, so you think you know the secret war, eh? Been to the netherworld, fought a few demons, tangled with a gaggle of sorceress eunuchs? Big deal. Until you've messed with the guiding hand, you ain't seen nothing. Go back to 1850, hombre, and find out about the high-flyingest, butt-kickingest monks of the Shaolin tradition. So, adding a dimension to the game, I know some people, kind of dig the idea of, Shaolin monks ever since Kung Fu, the legend continues with David Carradine. So, when I go to run it, it might be interesting to use that as a source book for either a source of law and order that the players can encounter in the Secret War, or possibly adversaries if they decide they want to be somebody that the Shaolins would stand against. Also, to pad out my 5th edition monster list, we have from Legendary Games, kind of pretentious name, but okay. We have Mythos Monsters. This is a book that takes creatures from Lovecraftian horror and slaps D&D 5th edition stats into them. So if I feel my players aren't appreciative enough of my DMing talents, I can whip out a quick Shoggoth for them to take on, as you would. So, just glancing through it, a lot of the common, kind of the interpersonal monsters, like the Migo, the Shoggoths, horrifying creatures, to be sure, but not the great elder ones by any stretch. Just, things that the players can contend with across a variety of challenge ratings. So, that might be like something to keep in my pocket. Obviously, it won't be tied into any of the storylines, but if somebody is taking on a warlock who serves the Great Old Ones, for instance, this might be a really fun resource to pull creatures in that the players will have to respect and deal with. I also got Alice in Weird World. This is a Tunnels and Trolls adventure. It also has a brief synopsis of the Tunnels and Trolls rules and character creation so that you can make up a character and then run it through this. Now, my hope is that since this is an introductory adventure, it's actually playable. The problem is that many of these solo adventures take into account that the players may be experienced and much more powerful than a starting character would be. So the challenges are all up and down. So your brand new, just recently created, elf, wizard, might get turned into absolute cream of wheat by this huge monster meant to take on somebody who succeeded at 10 to 20 adventures. It's rough. So I'm hoping that this will be a one that I can actually get through and enjoy, because that hasn't always been the case with Tunnels and Trolls. The final thing I got, this is a short one, so this is the last thing. I knew that there was a Munchkin the role-playing game based on the Munchkin card game, competitive game, where you're trying to be the first person to get to level 10. Well, I don't have that one, but now I have Star Munchkin the role-playing game. And quite honestly, considering the nature of Munchkin, it makes perfect sense that you would make a role-playing game off of it, because it itself is based off of a role-playing game. So if you have very simple mechanics, you already have the races, you already have classes, you already have a mechanic for scaling power and potency of gear, why wouldn't you? It makes sense, and they did. of course, this was made by Steve Jackson Games, and the illustration is still all the stuff from Kovalik. By the looks of it, it's all taken directly from the card game, so it's not like you have to spend money on that. And I'm sure that they own the rights to everything Kovalik put out in service of the Munchkin game, so yeah, this was just a matter of putting it into a game. I suspect this might be a pretty rules-like game that you can just whip together characters and go on an adventure together, which might make it an ideal change of pace game or a game to fill in on a night when we have multiple people out and can't run the regular game. That does happen sometimes. It can be very annoying for the people who do bother to make it that they can't play the game they came there for. So I like to have something in my pocket ready for that. I have a couple like that, the one-page role-playing game system, a compendium of that, as well as a number of other kind of smaller games or ones that I have pre-gens and an adventure for. But this might be a nice addition to that. So the other option, of course, is that it could be a complete parody game, because honestly, Munchkin is a parody of role-playing games, stressing the competitive nature of Munchkins, who are considered to be not an ideal role model for role players. So this might be a complete parody of that, and it still might be just as competitive. I don't know. But now I have it, so I can take a look at it, and we will see. Of course, it was at a relatively inexpensive price because it is at half-price books. So yeah, half price. And we'll see how it is. We did get to see a couple of really nice things at half-price books, but the prices were as steep as one might expect. I saw the Paranoia First Edition. I have never seen First Edition before, and their original boxes looked about as janky as the original Dungeons & Dragons boxes. Common white boxes with stickers placed over for the graphic art. That one was not terrible, but out of my range. And then I also saw Villains and Vigilantes Second Edition box set, which I have the Third Edition, Mighty Protectors, and that one really tempted me. But I've gotten enough games. These were all inexpensive buys, so I passed on that one. And the last one that I saw that really surprised me, the most expensive of the lot, was the Giant Lands set that came out, the one that Tim Kask wrote with a partner. It's a recent release. I think it came out in 2016, 2017, and they wanted $100 for it. Wasn't going to do it. I am curious if the game is good, because I think quite a lot of Tim Kask's work in the past, but you know, I didn't pull the trigger on that one either. So if you happen to be in the Appleton half-price books, you might have a shot at getting those. And they'll probably end up keeping at least one or two of those for a while, because unless there's a collector going through who wants some of that stuff, and not gonna lie, if I had plenty of money, I might try to be a collector, but then I'd also have a nice place to set it up and store all that stuff, which I don't. So all my stuff is still a working library, for the most part. So that's my thrift loot quest for today. A couple nice things, and of course, if you are interested in any of those, by all means, leave a comment below, and I can prioritize that and make content that you want to see. If it's something you yourself thought about getting, I can offer a critique. If you own the game and you're curious about how to make a character, you've had problems with it, I can help with that with a character witness. So just let me know what you want, and we'll make that happen. So until next time, thanks for joining me. I'm Rob. This has been another Thriftloot video. Until next time, farewell.